उपरतिः वासुदेवेन्द्र योगीन्द्रं नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुं मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते नित्यं शुद्धं निराभासं निराकारं निरञ्जनं नित्यबोधं चिदानन्दं गुरुं ब्रह्म समाधि साधन संपत्ति का शमोदम उपरति स्थितिक्षा श्रद्धा समाधानम च इति शमोदम
उपरतिः तितिक्षा
तितिक्षा श्रद्धा
समाधानं च इति
समाधानं च इति शमक मनोनिग्रह
शमः कः
मनोनिग्रहः दमः कः चक्षुरादिबाह्येन्द्रिय निग्रहः उपरमः कः स्वधर्मानुष्ठानमेव तितिक्षाः का शीतोष्ण सुख दुःख खादिसहिष्णुत्वम् शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखादि सहिष्णुत्वम् समाधानं किम् चित्तैकाग्रता
Good, very good. So we are continuing on the topic of Shraddha. What is Shraddha? We have fairly seen differentiating it from a more peripheral quality, which is faith, trust, belief. Why is Shraddha so necessary? And what really makes it so mandatory? To understand this, we remember this particular slide diagram. I'm returning back a few steps. Basic fundamental why Shraddha is necessary is a premise which says for Paurushaya Vishaya, there is a Paurushaya Pramanam. You require a Paurushaya Pramanam. किसी भी पौरुषेय विषय के लिए जानने के लिए, पहचानने के लिए पौरुषेय प्रमाण की जरूरत है. पौरुषेय means individual. For any Vishaya here is sense object. For any sense object to be known as existent, mark the word, to be known as existent, as present, कि वो है. कोई भी इंद्रिय का विषय जानने के लिए कि वो है, इंद्रियों का होना प्राइमरी है. You need to have the senses to reveal the sense object, the presence of the sense object. इंद्रिय विषय सिर्फ इंद्रियों के द्वारा ही जाना जा सकता है. इंद्रिय is the first step of knowledge. For any sense object based knowledge to be acquired. For example, over here, you see a plant. Is the plant there or not? How will I know? I have to have my eyes. There was a very beautiful program on long ago, some tropical from life around the poles, and as it moves towards the equator, a documentary. And they were showing hibernation of elephants. A lot of life hibernates in millions. Elephant hibernation was shown as the summer approaches, how they have to move towards water bodies. And in one of the hibernations, they have to cross a big, vast desert. Forgot the name. The newborn elephants also have to obviously tag along. It was very beautiful to see that the desert storms were blinding the eyes of the elephants. But the adult elephants had traversed this, for a few seasons have done this. But the baby elephants who were doing it for the first time would, as they reached some closer where snow had accumulated and things like that, and they were crossing that area through before reaching the desert, in the desert, some place like that. I may be mixing up the chronology, never mind. The point is something else. The point is, the baby elephants were hitting dried trees because they could not see it. They were blinded by the dust storm. The eyes were blinded by the dust storm. So though the senses were feeling the dust, the skin was feeling the dust, they knew it was a dust storm, but the baby elephant could not figure out that there was a tree ahead, and it would go and bang the tree. And one baby elephant was probably very, very young, so would keep banging a few times. And the mother elephant had to be very close and nudge it and then take her around the elephant, kind of most of times, etc. Now, for a tree to be there, those who saw bypassed it, nikal gaye. They didn't collide with it. Tree being there, those who did not see collided with it because they did not know knowledge. They did not have the knowledge that there is a tree present there. A tree is existent there. Paurushaya Vishaya is that tree in this example. The plant here in the diagram. विषय है, एक चीज है कि नहीं है सामने, वो चीज का होना ना होना आपकी इंद्रिया ज्ञान इंद्रिय है. दे आर कॉल्ड ज्ञान इंद्रियास. वो आपको ज्ञान देती है उसका कि वो है कि नहीं है. So the they become, Gyan Indriya becomes a Paurushaya. Paurushaya means based on the Purush, the individual. So Paurushaya here means the individual senses is the Praman, the validity, holds the validity of revealing the knowledge of the sense object being present or not. Fundamental. And then we saw how this Paurushaya Pramana goes through the mind, and brain has its own functioning, mind is different from this, and how we interpret the situation. Now it starts to become subjective. But Paurushaya Pramana is valid, very important. But it has a scope. It has a limitation. And the limitation is that it can only reveal sense objects. वही उसकी jurisdiction है. इंद्रियों की jurisdiction है कि वो किसका ज्ञान आपको देगी. वो सिर्फ उन्हीं वस्तुओं का ज्ञान दे सकती है जो इंद्रियों से जुड़े हैं. ये इसकी jurisdiction है. Now, what is it that Vedanta talks about? Vedanta tells you about your nature, fundamental nature, essential nature, your real nature. You can use any word in English. आपका स्वभाव, which is actually your most innermost, intrinsic to you, most intrinsic to you, what they call as Swarup. What is extremely closest would also be a wrong word. What is actually your self? Vedanta is a knowledge of that. वेदांत टॉपिक सब्जेक्ट का विषय क्या है? विषय है आत्मज्ञान, ज्ञान अपने को लेके. This आत्मज्ञान is not a topic of इंद्रिय. इंद्रिय का विषय नहीं है ये, because इंद्रिय is only revealing इंद्रियों के विषय. But मेरा होना, the tree is in front, मेरी आंख मुझे कह सकती है, मगर मेरा होना आंख मुझे नहीं कह सकती, कान मुझे नहीं कह सकता, स्मेल मुझे नहीं, नोज नहीं कह सकता, टंग नहीं कह सकती, स्किन नहीं कह सकती. It is not a topic of a sense inquiry. मेरा होना, this is very important. मेरा होना, how is it different from saying there is a tree मेरे आगे, tree है. दोनों में होना है. Tree is there, I am here. When you say tree is there, that tree, my senses can show, have shown. But I am here, what shows? What will be the praman? What will give me the knowledge of me being here? Because it seems to be self-evident. I never have a doubt about my presence. I never have a confusion about my presence. मैं हूँ कि नहीं हूँ. How we joke in Vedanta when we wake up in the morning, and do we ask somebody at home or somebody who's around us, do we ask them, am I awake or not? Tell me if I'm awake. When our mothers are nudging us kind of utho, 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 when they keep telling us utho, 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 at that time, are we really asked, once we are awake, do we ask them, have I woken up or am I still asleep? That I am there and I am a full expression of consciousness, awareness, self-awareness, मैं हूँ. I have no doubt of this knowledge. I have no doubt of my presence, of my being. There, here, I am here. I'm not dead. I'm not gone. I'm not dying. I mean, I don't even know if I'm dying or not. I don't doubt it. I'm always there. I know I see dead bodies around me and I say, ah, mera bhi kabhi na kabhi to ant hona hai. I'm also going to die. But I'm here very much. Who is the Praman? What is the Praman? How is it valid to you? How do you know what is already seeming to be self-evident and yet mistaken to be something else? This विषय आपका अपने होने का विषय, topic of your own being there as present, the knowledge of it, that topic itself is called apaurushaya vishaya because it is not dependent on the individual senses for its verification. It seems to be self-evident. It seems to be revealing itself without my senses. How do I say that? Because when I have gone to sleep and I wake up, I knew I had slept. This knowledge that I slept, ये कौन सी इंद्रिय ने मुझे ज्ञान दिया था? The knowledge that I slept and I had a sound sleep and I had a dreamless sleep. I had a peaceful sleep. And then when we ask you, what did you see in your sleep? And you say, nothing. There was blankness there. There was darkness there. There was actually nothing there. That is what I call as deep sleep. कुछ था ही नहीं वहां पे. अगर कुछ था ही नहीं वहां पे, आपको उठ के कैसे पता चला कि आप थे वहां पे? आपकी नींद थी वो? You slept. That self-evident expression of your own self, which is not dependent on the sensory knowledge, sense-acquired knowledge. The differentiation is so important to grab. That why apaurushaya vishaya, which is me, myself, as present, as existent, as there, this apaurushaya vishaya, how will I know it? Requires apaurushaya praman. A paurushaya vishaya requires paurushaya praman. A tree presence I see and I know. My presence, how do I know? This my presence to us initially we don't have any doubts about because we see ourselves as a combination of the body, my thoughts, and very rarely does anybody recognize themselves as conscious expression. But I seem to be a combination of all the three. And while my senses can reveal the body, because I can see my body, my senses can show me the body. So I somehow think I am this. But do the senses reveal the mind? And further, they certainly cannot reveal that self-existent being who is ever present. The knowledge of that self-existent being is what is Ved talking about, and in specific Vedanta only talks about that. And that is called apaurushaya praman, not dependent on the individual senses. Therefore, Sraddha becomes essential on a topic which is apaurushaya. How it differentiates from all other religions is that here the very person to be known is the person who is educated, who misbelieves himself, herself to be something else and calls that as himself, herself. Once this error has taken place, mistaken identity has been established. What is a mistaken identity? My senses are revealing the sense objects, but it is also revealing the body, and I have mistaken myself, concluded myself that I am the body. मैं ही हूँ, देहो हम, I say, no, I am the body. This I am, deha buddhi, that this is me. This is me, is certainly not revealed. This is me. That conclusion has been based only on this notion that I am the body. I am the body. I see the body growing. I see the wrinkles coming. I see the hair going gray. I see my weight. I see the characteristics of the body. I see the color of the body. I see the height of the body. I see the weight of the body. I see that I can't see, so I need some spectacles. I see that, oh, I have grown, I need reading glasses. I see that I can't hear, I need a hearing aid. I see means that seeing is a sense perception. This confusion, error, mistaken identity is, like yesterday I was saying, even in my deep sleep, you shake me up and ask me, who are you? It's a very fascinating experiment. Who are you? गहरी नींद में कोई है और उसे झटका दो और पूछो, एक बार पूछ के देखो, who are you? Other than, of course, hitting you and slapping you out of anger, that part of it, ignore it. But what a dumb question. I'm this. That established notion that you are this name and the form. Established है आज. इसमें संशय नहीं है हमको. इसमें डाउट ही नहीं है हमको. इसमें हमें जरा सा भी, इतना सा भी, vagueness नहीं लगती. I have certainty. Don't you question it. Don't you question my personality. Don't you question my individuality. I have an opinion. I have my own mind. I do my own thinking. I will do what I want to do. All this is coming from where? Vedanta says your misplaced identity. You have misplaced the identity on your body. शरीर पे डाल दिए. So जब शरीर अपने विकार करता है, जब शरीर अपने changes करता है, तो तुमको लगता है तुम भी change हो रहे हो. But the truth is that you are not the changing one. You are the conscious expression of yourself, of conscious expression. That's it. There is no form to it. There is no forget color, age, gender, race, etc. वो तो हो ही नहीं सकता है. Form ही नहीं है वहां तो. You are ever there. There is no absence to you. That what you call as nothing in your sleep was actually you free of everything. So the topic being apaurushaya is not very tangible to us as the vishayas of the paurushaya vishayas are. Natural, isn't it? Why is humanity so spent on or so dedicated for space exploration, etc., etc.? Because you see the star. You see that there in this space, you see so many luminous bodies. And automatically you want to know. You see your presence. You see yourself as living. And you have no curiosity to know it because there is a misplaced identity. You already think you know who you are. And who are you? You already think you know who you are, which is this body, which is this name, which is this idea that I am this and this, which is this mood, this is this everything to do with the body. So Vedanta talks only about that which is intangible to the senses but yet is there. क्योंकि अगर वो होता ही नहीं तो there is no talking, there is no communication, there is no revelation possible. Because what is not there cannot be shown. Like the scriptures give us the example, Vedanta mein example hai horns on a man. Supposing you attended the class here and I was in one of those crazy moods and I said, listen, today I'm going to give you a new lesson. And what is the lesson? You must start meditating upon the horns on a human being. Meditate on the horns of a human being. Can you even picturize it in your mind for you to meditate further? To meditate, you have to bring the image to your mind. I say meditate on the human with the human beings who have horns. And you will say, oof, what are they talking? No, not worthwhile, because I'll have to imagine it. Imagine me having horns. If you have to imagine me having horns, then you can certainly meditate on it because it'll be so much easier. But now I don't have horns. And if I don't have horns, there is no way anybody can tell you that, listen, she has horns. Can't you see it? So if you have to be taught about something, shown something, something has to be revealed to us, then it must be there. Maybe I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'm not recognizing it. But it must be there for it to be revealed by someone else. And that apaurushaya vishaya would require an apaurushaya praman, which means something that is not based on the senses, but should still hold the validity of it revealing the truth as is. That apaurushaya praman is the Ved, is Vedanta. Revealing you who is intangible to your senses but is still tangible to you as an experience, like we said yesterday. It is your experience that you are there. मुझे कोई नहीं बताता कि अरे तुम हो. I don't wait for you to validate my existence and then I say, now I feel I'm there. Now that you have said I'm there, I know I am there. Nobody does that. Nobody depends on anybody else to be concluding that they are there or not there. This apaurushaya praman being so essential to understand, it reveals us from step to step in a very beautiful way. Like I said yesterday, it uses the Shruti Vakya, and Shruti Vakya doesn't make you believe anything. It gives us reasons, it gives us examples that are also tangible through the senses, but they then infer, and then through inference, they direct us towards what is, like we did long time ago, Chandra Shakha Nyaya, if you remember anybody, that Chandra Shakha Nyaya, through all the tangibly known things, it points to that. And that pointing is absolutely precise to your being. And that being is not a tangible. Indriya Vishaya nahi hai. So, for the whole process to unfold and reveal itself to you as who you are, to sustain that, Sraddha is that quality which makes you understand, which makes you follow, and yet not give up till you have understood, not just understood at the level of intellect, but have begun to see it. Vedanta में बहुत सुंदर शब्द है ये. It differentiates from just knowledge, understanding, which is more of a capacity of the intellect. I need to know. That is the first step. Of course, you need to know. You hear and then you need to understand. You need to know. But the knowledge does not stop till you see its truth. Satya Buddhi. Yesterday we saw this in the definition. You must establish the Satyatva Buddhi in it. You see it as real. How today I see my misplaced identity of this name and form as real. when my Shravanam, when my learning is complete of Vedanta, and if I have enough Mananam and direction, my mind grows along with it, I also see that what real is. Satya Buddhi gets established. So for Apaurusha Vishaya, being you yourself, incognizable to your senses, your mind, your intellect, nothing reaches it. None of your equipments can reach it. None of your equipments of knowledge can reach it. Because you're only a self-evident presence. This self-evident presence can only be revealed by someone pointing it to you. And in this context, there is a very beautiful traditional story going on for generations. Wherever there's a Vedanta Sampradaya, there is this traditional story which helps understand the students, has never failed to make a student understand the importance of Sraddha and the importance of the Apaurushaya Vishaya, being oneself, and why my senses cannot reveal it to me, is the story of what in English you would say 10th man. The story of the 10th man. The story is a very beautiful story. Each teacher has their own nuances to build around it. But fundamentally what it conveys is there was a Gurukul. A Gurukul which was by the banks of a river. And we joke about it. And the Guru was Paramananda. His name is Paramananda. And he had Shishyas, 10 Shishyas, something very similar. He had 10 Shishyas. And these 10 Shishyas, not Shishya, just generalizing, they were his Shishyas. And these Shishyas had some work. They were supposed to cross the river. The town was on the other side. It's like Rishikesh. If you're on this ghat, then to go to that ghat, you need to cross the river. When in those days, you didn't have the pull and the roads. So you had to cross it by the boat. And these Paramananda Shishyas, because they're in a Gurukul, you don't really have so much monetary aid. So they were to swim across. Guruji was a little unwell. So he couldn't go. So he decided, amongst them was one very enterprising Shishya. He says, don't worry, Guruji, I will take them with me. I'll take charge. I'll make sure that we do our work, etc. So Guruji was a little concerned and he says, Acha, theek hai, okay, you are the leader. Fine, means leader in this context only, that you take charge of the fact that take care of all of them and all of you return by sunset. Sure enough. So they decided, and the Shishya was very enterprising. So they decided, he counted 1, 2, 3. Guruji counted first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 10 of you are going. So the leader, the Shishya was very, responsibility. Aa gayi karke. So leads them. They all cross across. So he makes them wait. Let me count the heads. Because they swam across. Koi ek beh to nahi gaya. So he had to count. So he started counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Huh? What happened? Maybe I made a mistake in counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Again? Line mein lago sab. Again, as many times he counted, so many times, the number was 9. And as he was confirming to himself, ye to sirf 9 hi log hain yahan pe, what happened? And panic started coming, fear started coming, and sab kuch hone laga andar hi andar. Ghabrahat hone lagi, kya hua? Where is our 10 Shishyas lost? Our 10 Shishyas lost. Dashama nashtaha. 10th person is gone. Chala gaya. मतलब कहाँ गया चला गया बहुत डर लगने लगा गुरुजी को जाके क्या बोलेंगे कहाँ गया that all that started happening and there was one person sitting side by counting all this tamasha going on कि ये because they were brahmacharis, so what is wrong with them? Why are they getting so ruffled up? Each one of them, the other one said, मुझे गिनने दो अब, the leader is making a mistake in count, let me count. He also counts, he also says 9. So this kept on happening for a little while, and then this person who was standing aside, just watching the tamasha, he just said, "Kya hua?" And the Shishya said, he says, "We don't know what to do now. One of us is lost and probably lost in the river." So he asked, "Well, how many of you were there?" He says, 10. We came there. Guruji counted. We were 10 of us and we swam across. And now we can't even know who is lost because we seem to be all here. हम में से कोई कह नहीं पा रहा है कि कौन खो गया, मगर जब हम गिनते हैं तो सिर्फ 9 रहते हैं. But none of us is able to recollect who's not here. Everybody seems to be there. But yet, the number was 10. Guruji couldn't have made a mistake. He's a Guruji after all. We have faith in him, you see. Remember the faith part of it? The faith part of it which makes us blindly believe. So, Guruji ने गिना है तो सच्ची होगा. उन्होंने 10 गिने हैं तो 10 ही होंगे. So now what do? Now there's only 9 of us. So this onlooker, this standing aside is the underline in the story. This one who was standing aside and noticing what was happening to all these Shishya Mahatmas, to be all of them getting worried and panicky, all that state that was happening because of this miscalculation that happened. And वो जो हो रहा था अंदर, इसको एक शब्द में शास्त्र संसार कह देता है. All the disturbance that was happening inside, so much of thoughts was running around. मिलेगा नहीं मिलेगा, कैसे मिलेगा, कहाँ चला गया, इतनी सारे thoughts were going around the fact that one of them was lost and they can't identify who was lost because they all seem to be there, but the number doesn't tally. So this onlooker but natural says, "Lago line mein, main ginta hu." So when he started counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He counted again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He says, "Where is the lost person? There's nobody lost. You're 10 of you." The first time when they heard, especially the leader, he got a sense of relief because he realized that number bhi galat nahi hai and sab log bhi hain. But he still can't understand what went wrong. And then this bystander, standby person mentions, he says, all that had happened was you were forgetting to count your own self. A very essential, deep story. सुनने में बड़ी casual लगती है, इसमें क्या है, because half of us would have figured it out in the initial few sentences. The dashama nashtaha purushaha, the lost 10th man, was actually he himself, the leader, the counter. And you go about finding truth and discovering truth by all your Paurushya Praman. You go into space deeply and unravel the mysteries of space, mysteries of the ocean. You unravel the mysteries of life, but you have forgotten to count yourself in it. That missing yourself out in the count of presence, your presence as a being, that is based on that onlooker who pointed out to you that you were missing yourself in the count. That what you had in that person who first unknown to you, you don't know, he was just happened to be there. That person said, "I will count it for you." What did you need initially? You had to have faith in him, Sraddha in him, when he said, first time he said 10. Your own thinking said 9. But when he counted, it was 10. Now there is a contradiction. मेरी समझ में 9 है, वो 10 कह रहे हैं. Now, it was 10 in the beginning, but in between it became 9. I don't know how. But now he's saying we are 10 again. कहाँ से आ गया? कौन आ गया वापस? What needed at that flicker of a moment in this example, few seconds, what you needed at that time was believe in him. Believe means you have to have trust in the words of this standby person, bystander, We call, in this example, he is called the Apta Purusha. Apta Purusha means the one who knows. The one who stands as an objective one and sees as is. And when he sees as is, suddenly when you recognize, Arey, yes, I had forgotten to count myself in. Now the relief that came in is actually only the removal of the disturbance that had set in because of the wrong calculation. If you calculated wrong, there was disturbance. What happened to the disturbance? It's not that a new person appeared. It is still the same 10. The minute you understood that, Arey, I was missing myself, now it's a matter of joke. It's laughable. That is why Paramananda Shishyas are supposed to be laughable stock, because they were supposed to be Shishyas, but it's a joke in the Parampara. It's not my creation. It's a Paramparik. We have heard, they have heard, they have heard, they have heard. Pata nahi kab se chal raha hai Paramananda Shishyon ka joke. To convey what? That we are all Paramananda Shishya when we listen to Vedanta. All of us are Paramananda Shishya. Why? Because when we are listening to Vedanta, we are not listening to it as a subjective thing. Initially, many of us listen to it over the years, period of long time also, our listening is always objective. अभी भी हम उसको इंद्रिय विषय समझ के सुनते हैं. वेदांत को हम इंद्रियों का विषय मान के सुनते हैं. But if Vedanta has to be understood, and the topic of Vedanta being apaurushaya, knowing that what Apta Purush is saying, Apta Purush means the one who already knows. जो भी वो कह रहा है is about the apaurushaya praman. Sraddha is based initially to recognize the topic being yourself also, and you yourself have miscounted, misplaced your identity, and while the knowledge is happening all along, it is only a corrective identity. Because here also, actually when you see the diagram here, the consciousness part of it is also still made objective. Science is doing a lot of research in trying to figure out what is this consciousness. But the big mistake here that we make is that I that I am associating it with. ये मेरा शरीर है, ये मेरी बॉडी है, ये मेरा मन है, ये मेरे विचार हैं, ये मैं हूं जो मरता है और जो जन्म लेता है. ये मैं हूं, that मैं हूं is the topic of Vedanta. What really is this मैं? Or whom? What is the nature of that hona? That is where to reveal that knowledge which Vedanta really starts from. Like I said, abhi to we are on adhikaratva. Sraddha helps me to place my vision very finely. Now, my first, when you look under a microscope, I'm sure it's been a joy for most of us who like to see things in details. My first thing was, I was in school, obviously, 5th, 6th class. My father manufactured microscopes, so it was a great handy tool for me to look everything under it. So, har cheez ko uske andar dal do. So, with an idea that, you suddenly, your eyes open to something else. And I was encouraged also. It was beautiful to see what looked like later on in your science you did, what looked like that thin peel of an onion inside, that layer of an onion. Look under the microscope. Everything is different. What looks to the gross eye under a magnified glass lens looks different. What appears as one whole to the gross eye, when you have added more lenses to your eyes, microscope is adding lenses to your eyes. When you have added more lenses to your eyes, now when you look at the same object, you look at it differently. In the same way, when you look at yourself as this person, who I am, with what your existent knowledge is, but when you look at it through Vedanta Praman, it is adding lenses to you. When you look at yourself through Vedanta Praman, everything changes. Your own knowledge of your own self changes. Who you are changes. That मैं, होना, my presence, which seems to be self-evident to me, has been left unexplored by me. Because I do not explore it, I am not able to explore it because I am the 10th man. I am the 10th man and I'm missing myself out in the exploration of knowledge. So when Vedanta tells me about it, now I recognize it. And once I recognize it, all the disturbance that I had to do with life and its struggles and its सब संसार जो हाँ हो गया था 10th man के मिस होने पे, all of it vanished. Did it generate a new happiness or a new peace? That happiness and peace was always there. That is the nature of one's own self. When the disturbance is gone, when the factor that contributed to the disturbance has been taken care of, and here the context is only that which is missing out was only the knowledge of the 10th man, being yourself. So when I see myself in the right light, till I see it, this Vedanta Prakriya for each one of us according to our Adhikaratvam, ideally speaking, just hearing is knowledge. When you hear you are, it reveals to you who you are. Like I gave the example of Nachiketas in Kathopanishad. But in the Gita it also says, such beings are very rare. Most of us fall in the category where we need to be with it for a period of time, sustaining it, hearing it again and again, correcting ourselves again and again, etc., takes time. And for some it can take janmas, for some it can take but it is all there. Till then, Sraddha is the one that binds it, that keeps it together. And so it becomes an absolutely mandatory value. And there is another verse I said, remember in the beginning I said, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. There are these verses in the Gita, which is what I'm trying to come to, but it only comes back to this. I give up. At this point, let me just... Okay. Can you see the...
No.
It's blank, Deepti ji.
Hey.
Now we can see.
You can see now? Yeah?
Yes, yes.
Great. Okay. Very good. Actually, I was trying to bring the book itself. Somehow I'm not. Okay. Keep messing up, right? Okay. So you can see this chapter 4, verse 40.
J, J, J.
The verse before that is actually the one which is saying Shraddhavan Labhate Jnanam, what we spoke of. The one who has Shraddha is the one who gains the knowledge. The next part of that verse is one who has Shraddha and whose Indriya is controlled also. Sanyam Indriyana. He has a control over the senses. Such a one means the entire sadhana chatushtayam is taken into account, and he is the one who gains knowledge. Now the next verse, which is a concluding verse of the chapter, Krishna here tells what happens if you don't have Shraddha. So we are concluding the topic of Shraddha to highlight the lack of Shraddha will amount to what. So if I go on listening to Vedanta, but I miss out on Shraddha, so then what happens to my listening to Vedanta? Or what happens to any of the other karmas? Because Shraddha is required in Vedic karma as well. So what will happen to it? So here he says, Agneha cha ashraddhadhanaha. The one who is ignorant, who has no knowledge, and also has no Shraddha. Now we are very clear about the topic of Shraddha. Shraddha in what? Apaurushaya Praman. On Vedas, Vedanta. Not only is that, because he doesn't have Shraddha, his mind is ever a doubtful mind, a doubting Thomas he is. Samshayatva. He's the one who's always doubting. How is it possible? How can this happen? Sanshay is that doubt. Sanshay rehta hai in everything that he hears as apaurushaya. Vinashyati. Such a person gets destroyed. What gets destroyed? The entire pursuit of Atma Vidya has no conclusion, doesn't reach a conclusion. The purpose of Atma Vidya is that there is a correction of the misplacement of identity. However long it may take, doesn't matter. Time is not relevant. But your vision of your own self undergoes transformation. But for the one who keeps doubting the words, for such a person, ashraddha in Vedanta Vakya makes the possibility of you becoming freed of samsara, of disturbances, cyclical, vinashyati, destroys the possibility. Not only that, he says, na ayam lokaha asti. Not only that, you see that he gets nothing over here in this world also. Is jagat mein bhi, means in your birth, living this life, you get nothing here. Na paraha, you get nothing in the next life or other lives. Na sukham, you get no happiness at all. For one, sanshaya atmanaha, for the one who holds sanshaya as the seed in themselves. Questioning is different from doubting. English word doubt तो question के जैसे भी आता है. मगर questioning here means I have Shraddha, but I want to know, so I have a doubt in the topic and I want to clarify, but my Shraddha doesn't waver. I believe it, but I don't understand it, so I need to know. So I ask, I have a doubt and I ask. That is correct. but doubting the very sentences from the very beginning, ये हो ही नहीं सकता. It's a waste of time. So many people, when they attend classes, their family members are always telling them, what are you talking? Why are you wasting your life on these things? Better to go and do some social service. कुछ तो मिलेगा तुमको. To do social service also, do you know what you have? If you believe in that, you have Shraddha. Social service is फल जो देगा social service. That also you have Shraddha in, because you can't see the फल. You believe कि वो फल will be better. So, na sukham. Such a person who's always in doubts about this knowledge. आत्म विषय के ऊपर जो ज्ञान है, उसमें उसकी संशय बुद्धि है. Doesn't believe in it, doesn't accept it, doesn't want to know it. So, even if you don't accept, but you want to know, that still makes it better. But Sanshaya Atma, the important thing is, having a doubt in the validity of these statements makes you not get no happiness here, no gains here in the world, even in worldly life. Like I said in one of the first classes of Sraddha, faith is something integral to us. We already have to have, without faith you can't survive. So he says, जिसमें faith ही नहीं है, संशय रहता है, वो इस जगत में भी कुछ नहीं पा सकता. Gets nothing here, gets nothing later, and gets no happiness here for the one who has sanshaya. And in verse 3 of chapter 9 in the Gita again, he again talks about ashraddha, purusha, the one person who has ashraddha, lack of shraddha. In what? In the dharma. And here dharma means what Vedanta has spoken of you as your nature, atma dharma. You being ever present, and that ever present you is your real nature, and that is not in identification with the body. That is you. That Atma Dharma में जिसको श्रद्धा नहीं है, what will happen to them? Because 9th chapter is beginning to, Krishna is talking about himself as a Vishwarupa setting he is doing. He says, aprapya mam, without reaching me, without attaining me, without reaching me, aprapya, mujhe mile bina, nivartante, they return back, they go back to where? Mrityu samsara vartmani, to return back to the realm of death, which is characterized by samsara. Means they return back to a vartmani, to exist, to abide, to live in. Without reaching me, without attaining me, without gaining me, without knowing me, they return back to the realm of death, whose characteristic is sansara, and they exist with that. That sansara, in that 10th man example, remember what you experienced when you thought you had lost the 10th person. Just that thought of, I have lost him, had created all that disturbance. So Krishna says, the ones who don't have Shraddha, in the Gita he says, those who don't have Shraddha, to them, they don't, obviously the knowledge is not achieved. Shraddhavan only gets the knowledge, means he pursues it till he knows it. He doesn't pursue it, so he doesn't have it. So without knowing me, here me means him, the knowledge itself, pure knowledge, Atma Vidya, him representing the Atma Vidya, and the return back to samsara. And then in the 17th chapter of the Gita again, where we spoke of the 3 kinds of Shraddha, there also at the end of it, a very beautiful verse which establishes that any apaurushaya vishaya done, even if it's karmas, done without Shraddha, are redundant, are no use, ineffective. He says here, ashraddhaya, without Shraddha, Even when you do hutam, homa, havan, you do your nitya karma, Vaidika karmas were all meant by the word hutam here, Sandhya Vandanam and Agnihotra karma, etc. All those karmas that the Karam Khan spoke of. Hutam meant that. Dattam, dana. So this hutam is yagnya here. Dattam is dan here, which is also a smriti karma. Hutam is the shruti karma given in the Vedas. Dattam is in the smritis, which is in the itihasas and the Puranas. Dan is one of the smriti karma, having a alaukik praman also. Dattam. Tapaha taptam. Tapas taptam. Tapaha taptam. And all the tapasya that one does. Tapaha. We have done this also in the past, various kinds of tapas. All those spiritual activities, in other words. Kritam chayat. Whoever does them without Sraddha. That means you may think you are doing a lot of everyday puja ritual, and you think you are doing a lot of dan, and you think you are doing a lot of tapas, but all of this that you do lacks Shraddha in your doing. Then what? He said, asat iti uchyate. Without Shraddha, all these karmas, and they are only representative at different levels, all the karmas are called asat, as non-existent. It's as good as not done. What a revealing verse. अगर कोई भी आप कर्म करते हैं और उसमें श्रद्धा नहीं है, तो it is as कर्म means Vedic कर्म, अलौकिक कर्म. Those that bring you the adrishta phalam. अगर आप उन कर्मों को करते हो लेकिन आपकी श्रद्धा नहीं है उसमें, then it is as good as asat, not done. O Parth, Krishna is telling Arjuna, O Parth, nacha tat prapya, and it is ineffective to get anything, any result. There will be no result of these actions. It can't bring the proposed result. No iha, nacha tat prapya, tat later, बाद में, because most of the फल comes later. कर्मों का फल बाद में आता है, कर्म पहले होते हैं, फल बाद में आता है. Later means later life. श्रद्धा के बिना कर्म किया भी will neither give you any gains here, no iha, इधर भी नहीं कुछ मिलेगा, न तत्प्राप्य, बाद में भी कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. Means I may spend my life with a mala in my hand, but I have no shraddha in the fact that this japa has a result. You see the difference? There is one story which is not a Vedic story, but it's a parable. It is a story which is also very beautiful conveying, and I'll just say that and then we'll conclude the class. There was a story on prayers. When you pray to God, God grants you the prayer, whatever you're praying for. So there was a congregation who was praying to God. There was a drought in a village, and the village decided to do the yajna that is done for rain, parjanya, the yajna done for the rain. So they decided to do this havan, this yajna, and the day was chosen, auspicious day was chosen, everything started, the whole village got collected together, and the ritual was finished as per the, whatever the method is, done. And in all that villages, there was only one child, a young girl, who had come with an umbrella. Nobody had come with an umbrella. They came to do the yajna for rain. But only one child, a young girl, small girl, came with an umbrella, closed umbrella, tagged the umbrella along with her. And villagers were laughing. बारिश तो है नहीं, बारिश के लिए तो हम कर्म कर रहे हैं और ये अपनी छतरी लेके साथ आ रही है करके. She was a laughing stock. And then someone asked, an elderly person asked her, she says, a person asked, why have you brought an umbrella? There is no rain. इसलिए तो हम कर रहे हैं ये कर्म. She says, but हम इसलिए तो कर रहे हैं ना कि बारिश आएगी. कर्म हम कर क्यों रहे हैं? हम भगवान को कर्म इसलिए तो कर रहे हैं ना कि भगवान हमें बारिश देगा. तो बारिश जब आएगी तो छतरी चाहिए होगी ना. Now what is this showing? Out of the entire village, it says only one person truly had Shraddha in the karma. Doesn't know how the karma works, but knows for certain if this is said, it must be holding true. If I want rain, I am praying for rain, I'm doing the karma for rain, and if this is true, rain has to come, I'll need an umbrella. All of them are saying, we are doing a prayer, doing karma for rain, but are not ready in their mind that the result will be granted, that the result will come. Shraddha se kiya bina. In karma itself, it has such significance. What is it to talk about in Gyan? Gyan is completely different from karma. Karma में तो फिर भी आप result से verify करोगे. Gyan is, as I've just finished saying, is entirely to do with you, the person. It is without Shraddha, when Vedanta is heard, it is as good as no knowledge. Not only no knowledge, sometimes it has counter result. And what is the counter result? I get this beautiful par behind me. What we call as, because it becomes a vishaya of the intellect. So I have this beautiful feathers around me and I feel, oh yeah, I know, and I know a little better than the others. Now I develop this very subtle ahankar in me. That ahankar of knowing the Shastra. The ahankar is again, identification with the words. It's not identification with ज्ञान. Because अगर आपके ज्ञान से जुड़ा है ज्ञान, मतलब आप जुड़े हो ज्ञान से, उस अर्थ से जुड़े हो, तो अहंकार आपका डिस्ट्रॉय होता है. मगर अगर अर्थ से नहीं जुड़े और शब्दों का पकड़ के उसके, you just feel I know, and definitely you're better off than others who don't know. But it does build some sort of a little invisible, an extra edge over the others in us. So, Shraddha is this beautiful quality, and I've concluded the topic today. Shraddha is this cement which keeps the foundation and the building that has to rise above it of Atma Gyan together. All of them are essential. But as I said, if you remove Shraddha and you approach the knowledge without Shraddha in a Paurushaya Vishaya, then what will happen? I start seeing it as my knowledge. I start seeing it as I know. And I start seeing it as it is something that is, I know it, that's it. I'm more knowledgeable, I'm wiser. All of us feel that. I'm a little more wiser than the rest. That is a sign of your ignorance. That is a sign of ignorance, that you think you're more wiser. Because the whole knowledge is making you remove the layers of added thoughts which are not real. So with this, the topic gets concluded. And let me do the so Anya, will you follow me?
हाँ जी.
Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu.
ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्ति भवतु.
Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu.
सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु
सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु
सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु
सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु
सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः
सर्वे सन्तु निरामया
सर्वे सन्तु निरामया
सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु
सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु
मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्
मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्
ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम्
ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम्
न्यायेन मार्गेण
न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं
गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम्
गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम्
गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम्
गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम्
लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु
लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु
काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः
काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः
पृथ्वी सस्यशालिनी
पृथ्वी सस्यशालिनी
देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः
देशोऽयं शोभरहितः
ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः
ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Even just a moment, even while chanting these invocations, now you see the importance of Shraddha. If you chant these invocations without Shraddha, then they are just absolute words.
Yeah.
You know, they have no effect. That is why for long, people keep chanting. That's why I'm very careful that when you do the invocations, though it becomes mechanical after you knowing it for some time, but you have to keep yourself tuned to the words when you do the invocation. So by the time you all learn it and it becomes easy to pronounce and read it, better not to do them. But when you do them, your Shraddha must be identified with these verses, with these words. And then there's no way. Why the country still survives is because our generations old people must have done all this with. Otherwise, the joke is no, who runs the country? Only God knows. Only God must be there who runs the country. It's something like that. So, yeah. So with this, we will end the class and we'll see you next. If you have any questions on the topic or any of the topics that have gone so far, send me the email on the same ID and I'll try and see if we revise it and do before we move on to the next topic, Samadhanam. So, yeah.
Thank you, Didi. Thank you very much.
Thank you
It was a
so
beautiful
much.
class.
Facebook
Thank
Live has stopped.
Excellent. I'm so
Thank
happy,
you.
so glad. Thank you everyone.